World of Warships Update 092 hits this week, and it includes a new line and some serious mechanics changes, among other things we won't know about until we see the patch notes on Tuesday afternoon. This update video is therefore split into 3 parts. Part 1, European Destroyers. Let's go.
All on the bowling, kitty is my darling. All on the bowling, bowling hall.
Over the past couple of months, testers have been busy playtesting the new European destroyer line and associated premium ships. The first line for this new nation of Europe, which currently only has a handful of non-tech tree ships. Since the majority of the ships in this new line are Swedish, you might also hear this referred to as the Swedish destroyer line, but there are some non-Swedish ships in the lower tiers to be released in the next update 093 in about 4 weeks. Before I get into the destroyer release event, I want to talk quickly about the new port which comes with the event. It's called Fjords and it's absolutely stunning. These pictures don't really do it justice. When you see it live with the lighting and the waterfalls and the depth of scale, you'll see what I mean. I've been to the Norwegian fjords and the graphics team have done an amazing job of capturing the look and atmosphere of that landscape. This is going to become my new home port for sure. The first half of this event is the now familiar early access model, where some ships are released early in the first update and then the entire line is released in the second update. 092 is the early access half, but there is a slight difference to the approach this time. Previously, early access ships have been awarded more or less randomly. You could end up with any and all of the early access ships, typically tiers 5 to 8 or 9, or none of them. The approach for this event is sequential release. As usual, there's a temporary token resource for the update. This time they're called European tokens. These tokens can be exchanged in the armory for 5 bundles, which are available in order. The first one drops the tier 5 destroyer, the second drops the tier 6, then 7, 8, and finally the 5th bundle drops the tier 9 ship. Each ship comes with a port slot and 3-point commander. The entire line will be released in the tech tree, including a new tier 1 cruiser in 4 weeks, so don't worry if you can't get your hands on any of them in this update. They're all available for free in the next update. Also available in 092 will be tier 10 special European destroyer Smerland, and she will be added to the tech tree and will cost 2 million free XP. More about the actual ships a little later on. Although you don't need to unlock the early access ships to get them in 093, you will however miss out on some content if you can't play much during 092. As well as the early release ships themselves, there will be a combat mission to be completed with each of the 5 early access release ships, for which a permanent camouflage 3 crowns is available for those ships. 2 further missions are available for Smerland, which will award consumable European camouflages. Complete any 5 of these 7 missions to get a 3 crowns permacamo for Smerland and for the tech tree tier 10 Halland. How do you earn the European tokens to get the early access ships? Well, as usual, the answer is daily login rewards and directive missions, although there's a bit more to it than that I'll explain in a minute. Like the British Cruiser event, you'll also be able to purchase token bundles for doubloons if you want more tokens, with these bundles containing 20, 40 or 60 tokens for 1,000 doubloons, although my advice as always with the early access ships is don't spend money you don't have on ships which will be free in 4 weeks time. However, Wargaming have added the perma-camo incentive this time, so only you can judge what you can afford. Be sensible with your money. So, the tokens are rewarded for completing directives, right? Well, no, actually. The directives award containers, and those containers contain 10, 20, 30, 40, or 140 tokens. If you ask me, Wargaming has introduced too many complex steps and too much randomization into this release event. Anyway, this is a news show and not a discussion, so containers it is. The in-game containers also contain consumable camos and a possible coal drop. Why do I say in-game containers? Well, you can also get containers by watching the official Wargaming streams on Thursdays on Twitch and YouTube. Wargaming will give out community codes during those streams which will grant missions each week. These will likely replace the usual Twitch drop missions. As far as I know, Twitch crates will still drop during 092. The total of 4 mission codes over 4 weeks will get you a total of 10 event containers, 4 million credits, and if you complete all of them, a kitty per first flag. The daily logins drop a crate on day 5 and 2 crates on day 10. The ships will cost 200, 400, 600, 800 or 1000 tokens for the tier 5 to 9 ships respectively. So if you roll well, you can get the tier 5 ship with only 2 containers. If you're maximally unlucky, it will take you 20. So probably it'll take you about 10 crates, which should be reasonably easy for a casual player who claims the official stream codes. Obviously, getting all 5 ships is going to take a lot of effort and or luck and or cold hard cash. I'm slowly making progress with a little project to gather recordings of native speakers saying the names of the ships in the game. So I'm able to bring for you now this little pronunciation guide for the new ships. Many thanks to StatsBloke for doing the Swedish ships in his Skåne accent, and Vaki for doing Tatra in his Silesian Polish accent. I don't yet have the tier 1 Griff recorded, but they'll all be on my new pronunciation website when it goes live soon, TM. Here are the ship names as spoken by native speakers.
Tatra.
Romulus. Klashorn. Visby. Västerås. Skåne. Öland.
Orkan.
Östergötland. Halland. Småland.
Let me tell you a little about these new ships. Like the French destroyers, these ships have a fairly similar feel up the entire line. They also have no smoke, but that's about where the similarities end. The European destroyers do have fast long-range torpedoes, and most of the ships have decent firing angles. When I say fast, I mean fast. Halland, running the new Slot 3 upgrade plus torpedo acceleration, has torps which can do 95 knots and still reach 12 kilometers. At those kind of speeds, it's relatively easy to hit slow-moving targets, even at long range. They also have very fast reloads. However, the penalty for these upsides is that these torpedoes don't do much damage. I've been using them firing only one set at a time, scoring a flood, and then setting a permaflood with the next set. These torpedoes also don't have wide spreads, they have narrow and ultra narrow spreads. It's easy to think you're on the narrower spread when in fact you're on the wider spread, so press 3 a couple of times to check which spread you have selected until you become familiar with them. Don't forget that the wider spread will be the default the first time you play the ship. These destroyers have decent guns the whole way up the line with excellent ballistics. Tiers 7 to 10 have fast rates of fire. Up to and including tier 9, the turret traverse is very slow, so you'll want to keep your distance so you can keep your guns on target, but the guns are very easy to aim, so distance isn't a problem. Halland at tier 10 has both great rate of fire and good turret rotation. Another reason to keep your distance is that unlike the French, these destroyers aren't fast. They have good concealment instead. Dodging incoming shells is much more difficult, so choose your encounters carefully. You do, however, get a heal from tier 5 and up, meaning as long as you can get out alive, you can get back some of the hit points you lost. The line has decent AA in general, but you're no match for a same tier or higher tier carrier on your own, so you'll still want to play defensively in carrier games given that you have no smoke. Stay near friendly AA, use friendly fighters if you're lucky enough to get given some, and use the range of your torps to support from within the AA bubble. However, the concealment of these destroyers is generally very good, so contesting capture zones in these ships is quite easy, carriers notwithstanding. The tier 8-10 tech tree ships also get the defensive AA consumable in its own slot. The special tier 10 I introduced earlier is the Småland, and it's a specialised version of Halland. It's more of a gunboat with faster firing guns, but has slower torpedoes. It also has a radar instead of defensive AA, so it could become an interesting choice for future tier 10 competitive modes as an alternative to radar Yuyang. Also in the pipeline is a work-in-progress ship, Orkan. This is essentially a mini Smjorland with radar again instead of DEF-AA. Both Smjorland and Orkan will likely do better in division since their short duration 7.5km radars will be most effective with coordinated fire on whatever is spotted by it. Their slow speed and lack of smoke will require some thought in order to use the radar well when playing alone. The method of release of Orkan isn't yet published and it's still work in progress at this point. My guess is that it will arrive during update 093, but that's just a guess. As I said earlier, update 092 hits this week on Wednesday for NA and CIS, and Thursday for EU and C. Watch out for parts 2 and 3 of this update Foghorn, which will cover the IFHE and plating changes and the patch notes. If you'd like to be notified when those are published, subscribe to the channel and ring the bell to get notified of new videos when I upload them. You might also like to go and drop me a follow over on Twitch, link in the description. Thanks for watching, take care of each other, and I'll catch you very soon.